Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog, and I've been very busy as of recent. That's why I didn't get around to making this video when it happened, but the Pacers have traded for a center from the Memphis Grizzlies. His name is Jay Huff, and I'm not going to pretend like I know a whole hell of a lot about him, but I have seen some highlights, I've seen some tape. He reminds me a lot of Myles Turner. And I don't know if that's something I should be happy about, but I will say this. He has a lot of the same skill set that Myles Turner did. He can step out and shoot the three. I don't know how great he could be at rebounding. I mean, I think the potential's there to be better than Myles Turner because he's a legitimate 7-footer. The dude is like the master of the reverse jam. I'm just going to say that. Like, I love the idea that he's not like a typical stretch big. I love the idea that, you know, he's not afraid to throw it down. He's had some good moments for the Grizzlies, but I haven't seen enough on him to really come to like a serious foregone conclusion on him. I'm excited, but not as excited as I would like to be. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like he's going to replace Myles Turner immediately. But I will say this. I do think, depending on who starts, because to be fair, nobody knows who's going to start. I don't think Isaiah Jackson is a starter. I'm just going to call it what it is. I think he's not big enough to be a starter. I think it will be either Jay Huff or it will be James Wiseman, who read up with us today. I'm happy we're giving James Wiseman another shot. I just want to throw that out there. I'm very concerned. More concerned than I maybe should be, but it concerns the shit out of me that we traded for a center. Like, I think what we give 2 second-round picks for Jay Huff. And the other 2 centers we have coming back are 2 guys that are just coming off of torn Achilles. And the reason I have a problem with that is because James Wiseman and Isaiah Jackson both are athletic centers. They're guys that their whole game is pretty much precedented or it's structured around them being athletic. And when you tear an Achilles, a lot of that goes away. Okay, like, if you look up the list of players who have had torn Achilles and actually became and put up better numbers at some point in their career afterwards, it's a very small list. I mean, very small. It's one player, and it's Kevin Durant. That's it. Okay, and Kevin Durant is a generational talent. None of these guys are generational talents. Okay, James Wiseman had the ability to be a generational talent, but we still have no idea what he really could be. I'm optimistic about it, but after a torn Achilles, I'm just kind of like, how optimistic should I really be, you know? And then Ijax, as much as I want to like Ijax, and I think he's a solid player, I just worry a torn Achilles is going to affect his game a lot, considering he is pretty much a, you know, do your work around the basket and dunk type of guy. He doesn't really have much of a post game, which is why I'm kind of hoping in the offseason and this time that he's been healing, that he's been working on some type of like a post hook or up and under moves or just something to add some longevity to his NBA career, because guys that are uber athletic and get most of their points trying to dunk the ball, once you tear an Achilles, man, a lot of that bounce goes away. Just ask Kobe Bryant. So it's the idea of it doesn't sit well with me that we only have really one center on the roster that we can look at and go like, yeah, he's going to be good to go by start of the season next year. I look at guys like Wiseman and Ijax and even Halliburton. We know Halliburton's going to be out for the entire year now after Kevin Pritchard's media day conference thing today, which we knew. Okay, like I don't think I'm not leaking any spoilers here with Halliburton not playing next year. We knew that was going to be the case. So Halliburton isn't playing next year. We have 2 backup centers that are coming back with torn Achilles. Maybe, well, at the very least one. And Jay Huff is promising. I just don't know how promising. Maybe there's a Grizzlies fan in the comment section that can give me a little more insight on Jay Huff. But from what I've seen, I'm not going to say he sucks. I'm not going to say he's great. I'm just going to sit here and be like, you know what? I see it. Like, I see why they traded for him. But at the same token, I look at him and I'm like, okay, can he be the guy we need him to be? And I'm optimistic about it. It's just, I feel like you're asking for a lot to have, like, I don't know if he was a second or third string center, but because I think Brandon Clark got some minutes at center last year for the Grizzlies, but I feel like you're asking a lot for a guy who rides the bench to just come in and be an automatic impact player. That's all I'm saying. Like, a guy who, like, it's one thing for a sixth man or a legitimate second string guy to be asked to be the starter. It's another for a guy who is like a third string unit guy who rarely gets minutes to bring him in and ask him to be the starter. So I don't know what the situation's going to be in Indiana with the Pacers. It's just, I have a feeling they're going to be, like, it's going to be between Jay Huff and James Wiseman for that starting spot. I'm just going to let you know right now, I think that's what it's going to be. I don't think they're going to let Isaiah Jackson start. Isaiah Jackson doesn't strike me as a starter. He just doesn't. I think his best minutes come from off the bench. So I really think it'll be between Jay Huff and James Wiseman. And I'm going to be honest, whoever wins the starting spot, I'm not going to be mad about. Like, I know there's people who want Wiseman. I know there's people who want Jay Huff. And I understand the arguments for both. Jay Huff stretches the floor. James Wiseman does not. But it's just the idea. As far as for what the team needs, I think Wiseman can provide that. It's just the idea. They're both kind of in the same tier. You know what I'm saying? Like Jay Huff and James Wiseman are in the same tier of center. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what training camp brings and who's really progressing and who isn't. But Wiseman's a guy that I'm happy we brought back. Like, it sucks that he only played one game for us. Like, not even one game. He played, 5 minutes and tore his fucking Achilles. So I understand why they're bringing him back, but the thing I want to go out on here is this is the result you get when you don't draft centers, okay? Because I've been saying it for fucking years. We need to draft a center. We need to draft a center. We need to draft a center. And we have drafted every position but a center since we've had Myles Turner. And now we're in a situation, right, where we need a center, like a legitimate center, and we simply do not have one. I understand we had Ijax for a long time, and, we've had Myles Turner for a very, very long time, but I always thought, there should be a contingency plan for Myles Turner, because, I understand people understood the loyalty factor of it, but at the same time, it's kind of like, there is no loyalty. Okay, I've told people this all the time, and nobody fucking believes me. I tell people all the time, no matter how loyal you think a player is, there is no loyalty from the organization or the player. At the end of the day, the NBA is a business. And that's why I tell people when they say, oh, well, Myles wants to be in Indiana. Clearly he fucking doesn't. Okay? So, I get it. The offer to Myles Turner was a bit insulting. I'm going to call it what it is. It was a bit insulting. Rumors are now, Yahoo Sports put out an article saying Myles' agent didn't even allow Indiana to match the offer, probably because Indiana wasn't going to match the offer. But he didn't even allow them to match the offer, allegedly. I don't know how true that is, but I do know two things can be true at once, okay? I think Indiana lowballed the shit out of Myles Turner. Myles Turner was offended, as that move would suggest he was offended. And Milwaukee came to him with $107 million and said, fuck Indiana, I'm going to Milwaukee. And you know what? People are going to get mad at me for saying this, but you know what? Rightfully so. Rightfully so. When you are, Myles Turner is worth at least $24 million a year. Okay? I'm going to throw that out there as one of Myles Turner's biggest haters on the fucking internet. Okay? Myles Turner was at the very least worth $24 million a year. Okay? 3 years, $60 million is $20 million a year. That is below market value. Okay? They were trying to get Myles Turner to come back without paying the luxury tax. Now, I know people said, oh, well, the front office was willing to go deep into the luxury tax. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. Stop believing that bullshit. Okay? I don't care what the fuck you read on Yahoo Sports. I don't care what the fuck you read on Twitter. I don't care what the fuck you read out of ESPN, Bleacher Report, Yard Barker, or whatever. Okay? I don't care what you read. This front office has not paid the luxury tax in 20 fucking years. Okay? They don't even like paying the luxury tax on years that this team plays well. Herb Simon does not pay the luxury tax unless this team is a championship team. And being that Halliburton got injured, our odds of being a championship team are next to none. Hate to break it to you, got faith in our guys, but there is nobody in the NBA who can replace what Tyrese Halliburton puts on a fucking basketball court. Okay? Not Tyus Jones, not even Chris Paul at 40 years old or 41 years old. Okay? Chris Paul maybe at one point in his career could do it, but not anymore. All right? The man's jump shot has gone to shit. So, with that being said, I knew this was coming all along. I knew it was coming all along. As soon as Halliburton got injured in Game 7, what did I tell you? The very next video that I upload, what's next for the Indiana Pacers? I said it would be very hard to justify bringing Myles Turner back and going into the luxury tax. And that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. So you can be mad at Myles, okay? But understand, the front office did not do themselves any favors. What happened was, as soon as Halliburton got injured, Herb Simon said, I'm not paying the fucking luxury tax. And they went to Myles Turner with the most amount of money they could give him without going over the cap, without going into the luxury tax. Herb Simon was so worried about paying the luxury tax that his offer to Myles Turner was actually insulting. And I'm giving you, like, people know I am not a fan of Myles Turner. I am telling you the offer that they gave Myles Turner, the Indiana Pacers, the offer they gave Myles Turner was insulting. So, after that point, the agent called around, Milwaukee showed up with $107 million, and you know what Myles Turner said? Go fuck yourself, Indiana. He said, go fuck yourself. You want to pay me $2 million more a year than what you paid me back in like 2018? When the new CBA is in effect? When the TV deals are the highest they've ever been? You only want to pay me $2 million more than the $18 million a year you paid me last time around? That's all I'm worth is $2 million more a year to you? Sorry, boys, but even at my job, 3.5% raise, I'd be offended too. So, I want people to understand that. I want people to understand that if the news is true that Myles Turner's agent would not allow Indiana to match that offer, it's because the first offer was so insulting that Myles Turner was offended. And you know what? At $20 million a year for 3 years, $60 million, I'd be offended too. Because I don't think Myles Turner was worth 3 years, $90 million. I'm going to throw that out there. I don't think he was worth that. But to not even be in the $24 million range, $25 million range, to me, that's a mistake. And Herb Simon just didn't want to pay the luxury tax for a team that wasn't going to contend for a championship. And as a result, he took Myles Turner's loyalty for granted and offered him a contract that was, like, when I saw the contract, when I saw, who was it, Jake Fisher, that reported it, that said the max Indiana would offer was 3 years, $60 million, and they wouldn't go over it, I was like, oh, Lord. They lowballed the shit out of him. Like, yeah, I understand people are going to look at it and go, well, it's only $4 million. It's only $4 million a year under what he's worth minimal. Maybe $5 million. In the NBA, that's a lot of bread, boys. In the NBA, that's a lot of bread. Losing five, like, losing $4 to $5 million a year, you might think is not a lot of money to NBA players because they're already rich. But in the grand scheme of things, to them, that's a big deal. You know, the NBA is not, like, I get it. You have your superstar players, but to a guy like Myles Turner, who is not a superstar player, who I would argue is maybe a star player. Maybe. I like, the jury is still out on that. But for a guy like Myles Turner, to a guy like Stephen Curry or James Harden, $4 or $5 million a year is not a lot of money. But to a guy like Myles Turner, losing $4 or $5 million a year is a lot of money. Okay? You're talking over 3 years, that's $15 million you're leaving on the table. To go back to a team that you're not going to contend with for at least 1 year and to be lowballed. Like, that's what they think of you. You know, that's what went through Myles Turner's head. That's what they think of me. They think because they paid me $37 million one time because they absolutely had to or they were going to be penalized, okay? Because they gave me a $17 million increase in 1 year, they thought I was going to come back for less money. And like I said, boys, there's no loyalty. There's no loyalty. Not in the NBA, not in life. There's no loyalty. Especially not in sports. So, I'm excited for Jay Huff. I'm excited for Wiseman. I'm excited for Ijax. I hope all of them, the only thing I can hope for all of them is that they have a healthy season. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Jay Huff is going to be amazing or Wiseman or Ijax is going to be amazing because we really don't know. But it looks good. I'm going to say Jay Huff looks like a good player. We'll see. We'll see what happens when the lights are brightest and maybe he starts or James Wiseman starts. But all I can hope for all of them is that they play a healthy season because we have 2 guys with torn Achilles that I'm really worried about. You know, just because their explosiveness is likely going to be less than it was. And on top of it, right, like, you got to worry about them injuring it again. And that's the issue I have. So, and especially with big men, man, lower body injuries are like the Achilles heel of big men. You know, a big man can get an upper body injury and it's fine, okay? But you start talking about knees, ankles, legs, tendons, okay? ACLs, MCLs, Achilles tears, feet injury, you know, anything foot related, it can be catastrophic. Okay, Yao Ming ended his career over foot problems. Okay, and I just worry we're gonna see that same thing. I hope not. I hope that, like I said, James Wiseman and Isaiah Jackson have great seasons. I hope all 3 of them, Jay Huff included, you know, Jay Huff, James Wiseman, and Ijax have healthy seasons because we're gonna need it. But I'm really worried. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, everything's going to be fine. No, I'm legitimately worried because you're expecting 2 guys with torn Achilles to hold up for 82 games. And I don't know. You know, it's been happening too frequently for me to, like, first Wiseman, then Ijax, then Halliburton. You know, like, it's 3 guys on one team with torn Achilles, boys. That's all I'm saying. So, tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. And I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.